council meeting of Tuesday, August 10th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk.
Councilor Perry?
Present.
Councilor Cook?
Present.
Councilor Janik? Present. Councilor Edwards?
Present.
Councilor DiMederos?
Present.
Councilor Vieira?
Here.
Councilor Burke is absent.
Absent. Consideration and vote on the following proclamation. Eagle Scout achievements honoring Ethan John Myers. Whereas Ethan John Myers of Tiverton, Rhode Island has achieved the highest ranking award of the Boy Scouts of America. Receiving, I can hear myself.
You're fine.
Okay. I'll start over. Whereas Ethan John Myers of Tiverton, Rhode Island has achieved the highest ranking award of the Boy Scouts of America, receiving his Eagle Scout rank on April 28, 2021. And whereas the vision of the Boy Scouts of America is to prepare every eligible youth in America to become responsible, participating citizens and leaders who are guided by the Scout oath and law. And whereas Ethan is the son of Patrick and Jean Myers, and whereas Ethan began his scouting career 11 years ago in September of 2010, and as a member of Troop 4218, has achieved 43 Eagle Scout merit badges. And whereas Ethan will continue his education at the Community College of Rhode Island, majoring in engineering with a concentration in mechanical engineering, and then plans to transfer to the University of Rhode Island. Whereas, as part of his Tiverton High School senior project, Ethan built 3 flag retirement drop boxes. He dedicated them to the men and women first responders of Tiverton, donating one to the Tiverton Fire Department and one to the Tiverton Police Department. The third was dedicated to his great-grandfather, Roland L. Morin, a WW2 veteran and lifelong resident of Tiverton. Whereas, for his Eagle Community Service project, Operation Play It Forward, Ethan collected 1,100 new and used sports balls, along with $500 in cash, donations to benefit Gifts to Give, a nonprofit charitable organization in Acushnet, Mass. Whereas achieving the rank of Eagle Scout is a very personal event in the life of Ethan and in the lives of his family and friends, it is a tremendous important moment, and be it therefore proclaimed that every official and citizen of the town of Tiverton extends to Ethan John Myers their most sincere congratulations and continued success in all future endeavors. Tiverton Town Council, Denise DiMederos, President. Ethan.
Does Ethan want to make a speech? Would you like to?
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the proclamation.
So moved. So moved.
Motion's been made by Councilor Perry, second by Councilor Edwards. All those in favor? Once again, congratulations, Ethan. We're very proud of you. All right, moving on. Consent agenda. Approval of Town Council minutes, July 12th, 2021. Regular session, Councilor Janik and Vieira abstain, absent. July 12th, 2021. Executive session, Councilor Janik and Vieira abstain, absent. July 26th, 2021. Regular session, July 26th, 2021. Executive session. Acknowledge receipt of minutes from boards, commissions, and committees. Planning Board 2. Acknowledge receipts of reports from the Town Administrator Department, monthly reports, July 2021. Police and Fire Department overtime reports, July 2021. Approval of tax assessor abatements, $2,050.53. Would any of the councils like to remove any item from the consent agenda?
Yes, 4B1 is not available.
Right. And that's what my little note says. You're absolutely true. So we'll remove that from the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made in second to remove the planning board minutes from the consent agenda. All those in favor? Unanimous. Anyone else? Like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Motion's been made by Councilor Edwards, seconded by Councilor Perry. All those in favor? Unanimous.
Well, I had to abstain from the minutes.
Yeah.
Well, it already says that, so it's fine. There are no public comments as far as I know. In there, is there anyone in the audience that did not put their name down that would like to make a public comment? Okay, I'm moving on. Board of Licensing, Audrey Mancini, Joe's Quick Mart, LLC, 1308 Stafford Road. Approval of victory license, subject to meeting all legal requirements. Approval of tobacco license, subject to meeting all legal requirements. Approval of petroleum storage license, subject to meeting all legal requirements. Any comments from the council? This is Speedway, correct?
Yeah, it was the
No,
old
no.
Speedway. Yeah, it was the old Speedway. Now it's going to be changing hands.
Yeah, well, if you go by there,
Right.
you can see it. Everything's being taken down.
So it's going to be a shell.
Yep,
So this is
Any-
like a transfer license.
this is just transferring the license.
The only comment I'd like to make is to Councilor Perry. On page 5 of the hard copies we received, if you look at the menu, it wouldn't be a town council meeting unless we mentioned barbecue. So I just wanted to let you know that one of the sandwiches is barbecue.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Joe will be there.
Well noted.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion, I can do it all at once, right? To approve the following victory license, tobacco license, and petroleum storage license to Audrey Mancini, Joe's Quick Mart.
So moved.
Second?
Motion's been made by Councilor Edwards, second by Councilor Vieira. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Patricia Campion, Amicable Congregational Church, 3736 Main Road. Approval of special event license for annual summer fair on August 31st, 2021, from 8:30 a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. Is Patricia here?
Oh, well, I'm here, but it's actually, I think you said the 31st, but it's the 21st.
Probably, yeah, I'm dyslexic, yeah.
What's 10 days?
Yeah. It is the 21st, Patricia. So you have this every year?
We do, but every year we get a permit for the tents. And this year, the building officials said we should have done this all along. It's the same one, but we never had,
Okay.
we never had a special event permit. No noise or, no noise, no
Yeah.
amplification.
No rides, no bands.
Madam President.
It's because you have a higher authority that looks over you, so you're allowed, that's why.
Yeah, I think people have been to it. It's pretty low key.
All right, any questions from the council? I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of the Amicable Congregational Church, 3736 Main Road, for special event August 21st, from 8:30 to 3 o'clock.
So moved.
Second?
Motion's been made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Vieira. All those in favor?
Can I just ask
May
a
I-
question?
May I just say one thing? I'd like to introduce our new interim minister, Reverend Nancy Suka.
Welcome.
We call her Reverend Nancy.
Good to see you all. Nice to be here.
Just introduce her.
Welcome to Tiverton.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Bill retired,
Oh, he did? I was just,
Yes.
In
no.
February.
end of February retired.
Did you have a party for him?
Well, a
Drive-by.
drive-through.
I would have went, all right.
Yeah, Okay, thank you.
Deb, did you have a
Well, yeah,
question?
my question, I'm just questioning why we needed to, we're not doing a variance, correct? It's just a special event
That's all it
application?
is, yes.
Okay, because there's no bands or anything?
No, we do the same thing for other churches, but although St. Teresa's had a band and everything, but.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're very low-key.
Even if we need them because there's tents.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Come on.
We will.
Please do.
August 21st, not the 31st, though.
Councilor Vieira is going to ask what you have for food, though.
Barbecue.
No barbecue?
No barbecue.
I have some.
All right, I'm going to move on. The meeting's getting out of control. Appointments and resignation, Conservation Committee. It's a 7-member board, 3-year term. There's 1 vacancy. Tom Malinsky, 122 Thomas Street, requests reappointment to expire 7/15/2024. Is Tom here? I don't see him. Tom's been doing this for a very long time and has done a terrific job. Any questions from the board? We need a motion to, to not do our policy this evening and appoint this evening.
We just so move it.
Yep, Jay saying yes,
Second?
second by Deb. All those in favor? And now I need a motion to appoint Tom Malinsky to reappointment to expire 7/15/2024 to the Conservation Committee.
So moved.
Second?
Motion's been made by Councilor Janik, second by Councilor Vieira. All those in favor? Unanimous. Historical Cemetery Commission, 5-member board, 3-year term, 2 vacancies. Eileen T. Coster, 1113 Stone Church Road, request appointment to expire 4/15/2023. Is Eileen here? Yeah. It's okay, Eileen, we're not gonna. I just am bringing you up because you showed up.
I will take this off.
So Eileen, how long have you been on the board?
Oh, I haven't. I cleaned up.
Oh, it's
cleaned
request
up-
appointment, I'm really sorry.
I helped to clean up a cemetery, start clean up with it, and, because I saw it in the newspaper. And I was looking for something to get involved with. I've been here for 2 years in Tiverton, spent my whole life in Somerset. So I thought this was a good fit for me, because I just want to be on the down low.
Which is wonderful, we like new blood volunteering. Any questions for Eileen?
So you do know where they all are.
All, what, at 88 or
There's a
80?
bunch.
There's so many of them.
I'm finding out today. I stopped at the one on Lake Road next to the church, St. Madeline Sophie, just because it was suggested that I take a look. And there was a big gate, and I said, oh, I guess that's the only way to get in. I'll just take a look. I went closer to the gate, and all of a sudden, it just opened up. So I said, these are my people.
Well, that's a sign we should appoint you then.
You're welcome.
All right, so I need, so because this is an appointment, but there's 2 vacancies, so I feel it's appropriate this evening to bypass our policy.
Make a motion to waive the policy.
Thank you.
Second?
Motion's been made to waive the policy by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Janik. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Now I need a motion for appointment.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Eileen T. Costa, 113 Stone Church Road, for the appointment ending April 15, 2023, to the Historical Cemeteries Commission.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Vieira, seconded by Councilor Perry. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Welcome.
Thank you, welcome.
Thank you.
Very much.
Welcome.
You noticed we had to get you quick, right? You noticed that? I want to see you get away.
I know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to go home now.
Good night.
Very much.
Harbor Commission, and it's a 9-member board, 2-year terms. We have 3 vacancies, 2 expiring 7/15/2021, and 1 unexpired term of 7/15/2022. We do have 4 vacancies, so we won't appoint this evening. Is Charles E. Lawrence here? Andrew Sumberg? I know someone's here. Clint Clemens? Good evening, welcome.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Clemens, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Clint Collins, and I've been self-employed all my life, and it just occurred to me this is the first time I've ever come for a job interview. So, this is where I walked up. When I was 16, I taught myself how to sail on the Canopies River, built myself a little wooden boat, and in the years since then, I have lived in Tiverton Harbor on a boat all year round for a number of years, and on a yawl. And I have had the opportunity and good fortune to sail a number of offshore miles. I feel like I am in a good position, certainly not unique in this town, but a good position to be able to be a good steward of the maritime interests of the town of Tiverton.
The only thing I want you to know is that this job is like crime. It doesn't pay. So I want you to know that, okay?
Any questions from the council? Donna?
I do, hi. Yeah, just, you kind of answered your questions, why are you applying, you just answered that. As I like to ask, have you reviewed the responsibilities and duties of the Harbor Commission set forth in charter?
Yes, I have.
Okay, because it's more than just aquaculture, which is important. Are you willing to attend extra meetings to finish the harbor master plan?
That is one of the areas I'm specifically interested in.
Okay,
So it's not just aquaculture, it's everything you do. To be very specific, I see aquaculture as one particular area of concern, but I also see the master plan as something that needs to be finished, and it needs to have proper input. That's what I think.
right. And you're willing to put in the time for any outstanding remaining tasks that need to be done? I don't, once a month doesn't appear to be getting the job done. So I'm hoping that you can, they also have a CRMC, a Kevin Kurtz, that's willing to help put the plan together. So it would probably be a little more time involved. Yeah, because you'd have to bring it to the,
I
yeah.
actually look forward to it.
Perfect. One of the things, you recently penned a letter to the editor that was very passionate regarding safety issues with aquaculture farms and recreational use. And with that, I just want to make sure that you're going to be open-minded and balanced in what comes before you. You'll also have an appeal, be it on the appeals board, and also, I guess, make recommendations for aquaculture. So you have to be, I guess, in the middle, can't, you know.
Well, let me make my position clear. I am not against agriculture. I am for safe shorelines. I believe that there is a place for aquaculture in the town of Tiverton, and I will work diligently to see if we can't accommodate all interests.
Thank you. I'm done.
Anyone else?
No, I just think those are great questions, Donna. There's so much going on with this commission right now, and I think there hasn't been enough time due to COVID and everything else, so there's a lot of work that really needs to be done. So I'm happy to hear that you have a lot of time and energy and interest, because, and we need some new voices too, so I think that's really commendable.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming forward.
Actually, the inspiration was from Councilor Cook. We spoke to her about 6
I'm recruiting mechanics and everything else.
All right, Donna.
She said, if I may quote you, you said, "I know everyone's busy, but you have to make the time." So I'm making the time.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thank you very much.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
We'll be appointing at the next meeting.
Okay.
But thank you very much. Bill Thompson.
Hi.
Welcome. So, same thing, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you'd like to be appointed to the Harbor Commission.
Yes.
Madam President, you want them to talk into the microphone so people
Okay,
at home can hear?
Is that better?
Thank you.
thank you.
I'm a relatively new Tiverton resident, full-time resident now. My wife and I moved from Boston. Like a lot of people, we vacationed down here, and then, like a lot of people, fell in love with the area. We bought and renovated against any kind of wise judgment a late 1800s cottage on Sepauwett Ave, and we absolutely love it here, and I want to, this is where we're staying for the rest of our life, and I want to contribute rather than just observe, and this would be my first sort of public town involvement, coming from the city, and I'm very interested in the environment, in water ecology. Our property, we look across to the Saconnet, and we abut a brackish pond that DEM owns. I'm just very concerned about the environment, and I'm very appreciative of our pristine coastline. It's just phenomenal if you're out in a boat, and not to put down Portsmouth, but you look west towards Portsmouth and you see what's happened there, and you look on our side, and it's just miraculous that it's been preserved like this. And I guess that would be my main focus. And another focus is public access. We live right next to Jack's Island, as well as close to the Sepauwett Bridge, where either way we could walk to those places. And I'm really impressed by the fact that people from Fall River, from anywhere who don't have a place on the water like we do, can come to these places and enjoy them. And I think that needs to be maintained and celebrated. So,
Thank you. Donna?
Sure. So you pretty much, first of all, thank you for applying. And you did answer the question of why you're applying. And I'm going to ask you the same question. Have you reviewed the responsibilities and duties in the charter for the Harbor Commission?
I did not. I did not know that. I don't know where that is, or when I came in to fill out the application, I didn't know about that.
Okay.
But
It's on what page?
My bad for.
Yeah,
No,
I don't
that's
know if
fine.
someone can
That's
make
fine.
a copy for him or,
So
Yeah, I would
our local
like-
charter is on our website,
yeah.
Okay.
and you'd be able to find it there. It's a public document that you'll be able to
Okay.
review.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm very new to this kind
Nope,
of.
that-
Oh, that's fine,
That's-
that's fine.
Yeah.
We welcome new.
And if you have any questions to try to find it, you can't find it, call my office. I'll walk
Okay.
you through it.
All right.
The Tiverton Harbor Commission is more than just aquaculture.
Right.
Are you willing to attend meetings to finish the harbor master plan?
Yes.
Ordinances and other tasks that remain outstanding?
Yes. And I'm a self-employed artist, so like Clint, I have a fair amount of free time. So
Okay.
I'm here.
Right.
And
It is
ready
going
to
to
work.
take extra time
Yeah,
to
and I have
move some of these tasks forward. Very important.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Anyone else?
No, I'll just echo what I said before. It's a great commission. There's a lot of work to be done, and you're saying you have a lot of time. There's, time goes quickly.
Was that a mistake?
I once said that years ago, and look at me now, so, yeah.
I would just add one thing that kind of came up with a question you asked, Clint. I am very capable and willing to look at both sides of any issue, and I think I'm especially good at that, at not just holding on to my opinion, of which I have strong opinions, but I can balance things out well.
Yeah, I think that's important. When you sit in a position, you can't, you just have to be fair to who's ever in front of you. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
for applying.
Thank you.
We will appoint next week. Thank you. Okay. D, Newport and Bristol County Convention and Visitors Bureau, per Rhode Island General Law 42105-2, one Tiverton representative, 3-year term, one vacancy. Christine Kloss, 131 Bonswallow Street, request reappointment to expire 7/15/2024. And Christine Francis, 3842 Main Road, request appointment to expire 7/15/2024. Is Christine Klaus here? We have a lot of Christines.
I know. Can't go wrong either way, you're gonna pick a Christine, right?
Popular name for a pile of served you.
Now, Christine, I noticed that you're unemployed.
Yes,
right now.
I am.
And part of this position, they have to be, I think this is true, a business owner or part of, we talked about this at the agenda meeting, a business owner or
Or employed in the,
employed in the hospitality.
correct.
Because you're not employed right
Right.
now, I don't know if this will be a problem.
Yeah.
Because it is a requirement of this position.
Yes.
And I understand, because of COVID, hospitality has really not been the best
Yeah.
company to work for right now. So you did this for 3 years. Did you
Yes.
enjoy?
Oh, yeah, it's great. I've lived in Tiverton for 8 years. I've worked on Quidnick Island for about 12 years up until this last year. And I am currently on my second interview for another hospitality position in Newport as well. So there is hope in sight. But I worked as a hotel person in cohesion with Discover Newport as a partner, which was really great because that's a whole different level than once you get into trying to represent a town, but you can kind of get the inner workings of how the operation works, how the websites, work, different programs and incentives that they do to promote, the whole 9 counties, not just Newport. Everyone kind of feels like, oh, it's just Newport because it's in Newport. But they really do try to reach out to all 9 counties and make sure that, that they're involved in Restaurant Week and all the different promotions and things that they're going on. They also really try to get the communities to let Discover Newport know about events and activities so that it can get out to a broader, because Newport's basically the hook.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Everyone's looking for Newport, but, if you're not playing the game, you can't, win, as they say, so.
Now, I talked to the chairman of the Economic Development Committee because I asked her if she works closely with you, and she
Right.
said no. And while I was thinking about this, I think that's really important, that
I do
whoever
too.
represents us works very closely with the Economic Development Committee, because
and I agree.
they're working on different ways to get our name out there.
Right.
And if you're part of that discussion, even go to their meetings so that you'd be part of.
To know what's going on.
Yeah, so
from
you're
that
almost like a
perspective.
liaison to that committee.
Right.
In Newport. But when this came up, I was thinking that this person has to really work very closely with the chairman of the Economic Development Committee
Yeah.
to see what she wants you to present up there.
Right, how
also.
she wants to promote Tiverton,
Right,
get it
and the
forward.
different things that we'd like to promote.
Right.
Is there any questions for Christine? No. Well, Christine, I'd like to thank you for representing us for 3 years. We will appoint somebody next week.
And I have no doubt whichever Christine you pick, it's going to be great.
It's Christine, right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christine Francis. Come on up.
We hadn't met before.
We have met before.
No, I meant the two Christines have not met before. We just ended up side by side.
So Christine, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you would like to be a representative for us.
Well, I relocated my business from downtown Providence to Tiverton Four Corners last year in the middle of COVID, and woke up. I live and work in the same building across from the grill. and woke up and didn't know when I could open my business, so it was quite a year. But I've been very active in the Merchants Association since before I moved down here. I started attending meetings before I even took over the space, brought them into some new advertising. I redid the entire brochure this year. I'm, a little, I want to be involved. So sort of came down from the city and was like, we're going to do this, this, and this. But it's a great group. I like them a lot. We work really well together. In fact, we sort of flatten the responsibilities of that structure and spread it out so that instead of it being pyramidal, it's a little bit more equitable. And I think that's helped sort of get more people involved. I had looked at the Discover Newport site before they redid the website and wasn't entirely pleased, but waited till they redid it and wasn't entirely pleased when I looked at that either. And I said, how are these decisions made? How do I get more? Because I have tried to be in touch with them, but I haven't made too much headway. So I saw that it was a board, and I saw that they had each municipality represented, and I saw that there was someone from Tiverton. So it was a coincidence that I happened to ask about it, and the appointment was just coming up. It was just a coincidence. So my feeling, with no disrespect to the other Christine, is that, this is a board that decides, travel and tourism and how to bring those people to Tiverton. And I really feel like a business owner or operator in Tiverton should represent Tiverton on that board as a business person. With no disrespect to Christine, she's in the hospitality industry. The hotel is another category that's represented on the board. Restaurants are represented on the board. Activities are represented on the board. Retail isn't represented on the board. And I make my livelihood from a retail store in an area that also has other retail, locations in Tiverton that is very much driven by travel and tourism. And I would be happy if anyone else wanted to take this on, but I decided I would apply and take it on if I could. And I felt like I'd like to make a difference. I'd like to be involved. I was involved when I was in Providence with the PWCBB, which is a sort of sister organization up there. And I'm willing to put in the hours. I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to work with Renee. I already know her, just through the Merchants Association. And I'll meet with other businesses. I won't just, meet with Four Corners. I would like to work with Renee and figure out what other businesses should be represented by this. I mean, there are some, like the Quick Mart doesn't really care about tourists, but there are other businesses that do, and figure out who are they, how to reach out to them, how to make sure I understand the interests of all the businesses that would be affected.
Yeah, I think it's very important that this position works with the Economic Development Committee. And they have been really doing more restructuring of their committee, more goals for their committee. So I think it would be a really good thing if this representative really kept good communication with them.
Right.
Any questions from anyone? No. Okay, we will appoint next week.
Okay.
I'm sorry, in 2 weeks,
Okay.
and we'll let you know.
Should we attend the meeting then?
We've already interviewed you, so
Okay.
you don't need to.
Okay, great. Thank you
But
so
you're more
much.
than welcome to come.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
It's very
More than
exciting.
welcome. No, we're really not that exciting.
I'm hoping for barbecue.
Bring food, yes, bring
Like,
food, definitely.
sometimes we are, but we're just starting coming back, so we're not that exciting right now.
Thank you.
We will be exciting.
Those news trucks are camped out.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. All right, town administrator, request approval for pay increase for tax assessor David Roberts, effective December 10th, 2020, consistent with approved FY21, FY22 budgets. Chris?
So, after our evaluation process, I did talk to Dave, and we do agree that this is an appropriate salary increase based on the comments of the council. So, unless anybody has any questions, I don't think there's anything here that, we didn't discuss. And I did have a full discussion with Dave. And I do think that, this is a blip in the screen that really is not totally, that he's to blame for. I think New England reval really didn't do him any justice, like I said during the, evaluation process, that I think a lot of us got blindsided by this, and I think there are other communities that are going to be going through the same thing. But he agrees that of his entire tenure, this really shouldn't be held against him, but it's an agreeable contract that we can get through.
Any questions? Like to entertain a motion?
So moved.
Well, we need to make the motion first.
Motion is to approve pay increase for tax assessor David Robert effective December 10th, 2020, consistent with approved FY 21-22 budget.
And this has been advertised for 3 days or more.
Right, and we do have a fiscal impact that you all see.
It is retroactive to
I'll
December.
second that.
Okay, yeah. Motion's been made by Counselor Edwards,
Thank you, Joe.
second by Counselor Perry. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. The whole room just cleared out. Discussion and possible vote. Yeah, discussion and possible vote on modification to original agreement. No, I'm sorry.
B.
I'm sorry, yes. Request permission to advertise to generate hiring list for the fire department, police department, and DPW. Chris?
So we've, unfortunately, with a lot of this federal money coming around, we are starting to lose firemen. We have exhausted our police recruit list. We've exhausted our dispatcher list. We've exhausted our part-time worker for DPW, and we're at the fourth stage now of trying to find a part-time mechanic at DPW. So we do need to try to create a list that we can draw off of, and we're asking permission to go out to try to generate that so that we can be in a better position.
Any questions?
It also lists here senior center
Yeah,
part-time clerk.
So, yeah, it didn't make the agenda for some reason on the list, though.
No, it's
in
only
my
the
list.
firefighter.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if we talked about this during the agenda meeting, did we, all these positions?
We did talk about fire, police, and
I thought I
We
mentioned
did do
the
that.
senior center.
But we didn't put it on the agenda.
But it's on the request part, but it didn't make this part, so I
I
mean,
don't-
it can wait another meeting.
Mike, do you agree with me? We can only do
What
the
do you
fire
mean?
department.
Correct.
Oh, it's here, though. It's
On
here.
the agenda.
It's here. No, it says fire department, police, and DPW on the agenda.
It's just not senior
Correct,
center.
yeah, it's senior
Okay.
center.
Oh, I
Right.
see.
You
So
see what
even
I'm-
though it's on the agenda request, it didn't
Correct,
make
yeah, it didn't make
it. It is what it is, don't worry. We'll do it for the next meeting.
Bruce,
Then I
is-
can ask a question about it.
Sure.
So the senior, this is not the assistant director.
It's the part-time person who's retiring. I don't know what her title is, but I don't think it's,
I didn't know they had a clerk.
they did.
Bruce, is there anything you'd like to add? You don't have to, I just know you're here.
No, it's, we are, like the administrator said,
You have to go there.
So back live.
back live.
In the hot seat.
You want me to come out of retirement?
Sure, yes, absolutely. Good evening, everybody. So I totally agree with what the administrator said. We are losing 2 this month. I've gotten 2 letters of resignation. I know of at least 3 or 4 other firefighters that are seeking employment elsewhere in other fire departments. So we did have a list that was good for 2 years. It's still within that 2-year time period. Excuse me. We had 5 people left on that list. We tried to contact them to see if we could get interviews. 1 is interested, and unfortunately, the next fire academy that we're gonna be able to get somebody in to is January, February timeline.
So you
So-
need a list.
We certainly need a list.
We'll try laterals as well, but it's
Laterals will be
ideal
put
if we
in
could.
the advertisement for sure.
Yeah, because last time we did the laterals, we did get a couple, right?
We have gotten a couple.
Yeah.
And it works out because
Well-
they come trained already. They just have to learn, do some Tiverton, quote-unquote Tiverton training, and it certainly helps, for sure.
Yes.
What do you think, other than the obvious problems, what do you think one of the problems is with getting younger people to go in? Is a lot of times they don't want to go to the trouble of doing the EMT course, which sounds kind of bizarre, but is that a problem? What's a problem? And how did they do it before? When you were a recruit, did you have to be an EMT first?
Well, yes, because they work both, right?
No,
They
how
work-
was it? I don't think it You didn't,
We didn't have
right?
to be an EMT.
You didn't
Yeah,
have
but did you work
EMTs
the
though, right?
rescue?
No, Stonebridge
See, that's the
Volunteers,
difference
Stonebridge
now.
Volunteers ran the rescue,
Right.
and the fire department was separate. And
That's-
then when the fire department took over the rescue, that's when we had
See,
EMTs.
that's the difference now. They do both jobs.
Right,
So
in
they-
1991.
And right now, we mostly have all paramedics and some cardiacs, but you don't have basics
Right.
anymore.
We do not.
Basic EMTs.
We do
anymore.
not.
So they have to be either cardiac or paramedic.
Right.
And they also have to have firefighter training. Well, they have to go to the academy. or
Right.
have
Before they can be
experience.
used as, put in service as firefighters, they have to be firefighter 1 and 2 trained. And they have to be, like you said, a paramedic or a cardiac.
Would it help to have an EMT course right in the high school?
Just- Certainly, the more EMTs we have available that want the jobs would help. And this is kind of a little bit getting off topic, but that's one thing I'd like to do in the future is start something in the high school, a recruitment, a junior firefighter type program or something to try to get Tiverton residents interested in the Tiverton Fire Department. Excuse me. And then work with, I've already talked to BCC, the fire instructor over there, or the chief that's in charge of the fire program over there, to have kind of like a bridge program for
Yeah.
the high school students to go to BCC to get their fire science classes and everything, but that's, COVID came and, that's one of the things that's on the back burner. But certainly if we had more EMTs available to pick from, that would help.
But we're not hiring EMTs. We don't use basics anymore.
We don't, but I mean, a cardiac is an EMT, a paramedic is an EMT.
Yeah, but they
Advanced,
have to have the advanced.
For sure,
They just can't
for
have a
sure.
basic EMT license.
No, that's correct.
But can they be hired with one? And then
No.
then license up?
Well, it takes a while.
It does take a long time. A paramedic is
18
18
months, I
months or
think.
something like that.
You really want cardiacs or paramedics on the ambulance, because they can give
Yeah.
drugs, they
can
can
administer drugs,
defibrillate,
right, yeah.
they can do all of that. EMTs cannot, and,
Basic EMTs
yeah,
cannot.
especially, there's distance between here and the hospitals
the
down
kids
south
wanna
from
do
here.
that.
Oh, for
So
sure.
everything that can be done in an ER can be done in this ambulance.
I think what he'd like to do is generate some interest in town, though, from
Yeah.
So then
local
part of
residents.
Part of our problem then is they have to have more training in Tiverton than they would, say, in Providence, where they could just be a firefighter or an EMT or whatever, and they're gonna get paid more there.
You can't do that here.
So
The big city,
No.
you
that
can.
all feeds into the equation.
Well, truth be told, even in the bigger cities, they're all at least basic EMTs, and a lot of them are cardiacs in the bigger cities also.
Okay.
Is that
So
what
they
you,
don't have to, they don't have to.
he walked up and then,
Fall River
that's what
just,
you were gonna say? Yeah.
Fall River's last class last year, they started EMTs in their fire program. So now you have firefighters in Fall River that are EMTs that ride on the apparatus. And that's what they're looking to do, is to change over and eventually have everybody
But not in
firefighters.
their ambulances. Most of Forever has paramedics on board.
Right, right,
Yeah.
but I'm saying,
Right.
but now,
If they're all doing it, then that's not an impediment for us.
All right. Any other questions? So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve permission to advertise to generate hiring lists for the fire department, police department, and DPW.
I'll second that.
Well, somebody has to make.
So
the
moved.
first. So Donna's made the first.
Oh, okay.
Motion's been made by Councilor Cook, second by Councilor Perry. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Bruce.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to
Councilor
make a
Edwards.
motion, don't move. To move item L, Town Administrator Fire Chief Reimels, so he can get out of here next.
And, so a motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Bruce is, after all, in his time off right now.
Well, so is our,
Captain Ferrera's on his 9-1.
Bruce is never off.
Well, Bruce is never off, but you know
So,
what I mean.
So let me just read the item. Town Administrator Fire Chief Reimels requests permission to advertise for fire truck as approved in the fiscal budget 2022.
so I'm going to have Captain Ferrer speak in a minute, but I just wanted to give you a general overview as to where we are. The department has done a lot of legwork on looking at various options for the town. But we still need to go through the formal bidding process. And I think we'll craft the appropriate RFP, put it out there, and get the biddings. But I do think the department has kind of narrowed it down to what it is that they think is most suitable for the community. But I'll let Captain Ferrer speak to
And I
that.
just want to tell the council, I was asked to put this on because there's very few of these trucks available, and we've already missed one opportunity because we haven't given permission to go out for bid. So I just figured if we gave it, then if they see this truck available, they can do it.
So
Josh?
I'll just speak real quick. So last year, we started talking about figuring out exactly what it is that Tiverton needs, we feel Tiverton needs for a new piece of apparatus. The Quint, obviously, I think everybody by now has heard that fire truck with a ladder on top, or a ladder with a pump, however you want to look at it. So I charged Captain Ferrer with heading up the truck committee, sat down with him and the committee, we've talked about what it is exactly that we think the town needs in this particular truck. He kind of took it over from there, talked to some manufacturers, told them what basically we were going to be looking for, and they gave us some ideas of what they could do for what, not knowing the exact price. We didn't say we have X amount of dollars to spend or anything, but ballpark, we told them what I was going to be asking for in the budget, and so we have spoken back and forth to four or five, six different manufacturers. So certainly he can take it over from here. If you guys have any questions, specifics.
I was still, it's still going to fit in the building, or do we have to buy a tent?
No.
We are certainly not going to buy a tent.
I'm going to go over and measure.
So
I want to hear.
there are a couple of things that come with a bid package, and one of them is, we actually thought we had a vehicle that we may have been able to get as a demo that might have fit. They were coming out to actually measure the building for us. We do believe that North Tiverton, while it may have some issues, the amount of repair that might be needed to lift that door is minor compared to the overall value of the truck, but we may have to do some work on that building. We pretty much believe most trucks will fit down at the south end of town, but ideally this truck should be suited, and I'll let Captain Ferrer speak about this, but it's probably more suited to be at the north end of town. At the end of the day, if we have to put $7,500 to $10,000 into a building to make it fit, we can do that. And I don't think that that's a bigger lift than actually getting the most appropriate piece of equipment that will satisfy the needs of the town overall than whether or not it'll fit right now. The issue is if we go out, and when we go out to bid, it has to be fair and competitive according to state procurement, so it does need a bid. If we have to have one built, it's 18 months. If we can find one that's a demo, we might be able to get something a lot quicker. Which is kind of what we were hoping to do, but the one that we had our eyes on actually got scooped up after we talked to the guy like 10 minutes later. It was already committed to another community. So it's, we're trying to do what's right, but at the same token, we do understand, depending on who the manufacturer is, the door may have to be lifted. And that's a matter of lifting out the top blocks, putting in a header, putting another panel on the door. We don't believe that's a big lift, but we can have somebody actually come out and measure for the actual truck that winds up on the bid.
So where do you want to, where would this be housed?
Ideally, it would be up in North Tiverton.
North Tiverton?
All right, I have a question about that, though. I understand why the ladder would be more appropriate in north, but wouldn't the pumper be more appropriate in the south? I know you can't divide the two, but our pumper works, is not a very good
So it should be a
condition right
Crandall
now.
Road.
So that is why you actually wanted the ladder with a pumper. So I want everyone to understand that. It's not just a ladder truck.
No, it's a pumper, too.
We are also replacing a pumper truck that is not working that well. And if you live in the south end, you need a pumper truck.
You do.
You need us to be there. So on Facebook, it's like, why do we need a ladder truck? Well, it's a pumper truck and it has a ladder, but we needed the
That's
pumper truck.
exactly.
And that's the most appropriate way to say
So
it.
can you get into the volume of water on a regular pumper
But what I'm
versus
saying
a quint?
is, the pumper is really needed more down south.
Need it
correct?
everywhere.
It's
Need
needed.
it everywhere, but, okay,
There's a pump in each stations.
okay. All right, that's what I'm asking.
What is-
Okay.
What does the Quinn hold for water? Does it have a water tank?
So, why, right now we have 3 engines, as you guys know. Every engine carries 1,000 gallons of water. So what the plan is to look to replace it with one of the engines with a Quint. And a Quint carries anywhere from 300 to 500 gallons of water. So we've looked at certain ones that have 500. We've looked at certain ones that can give us 400, 600. It's all over the place. Like the administrator said, we've gotten quotes that said anywhere from a year to a year and a half to build a fire truck. As everyone knows, we can't wait that long to get a fire truck. There is the route of going down, like looking at a demo truck. Those are usually available within 30 days to 90 days most of the time. I mean, I can't specifically say what a manufacturer would do, but it's typically been about 90 days. We have looked at some. One of the reasons that we're looking to put it in the north end, I know you said the water and all that stuff. The water would be less than what one of our engines carries. So the north end is covered in fire hydrants. So what we lose in the tank, we have the availability of getting a fire hydrant in the north end. In the south end, we don't have that luxury. So shifting fire apparatus that we have right now to South Tiverton would give us the 1,000 gallons of water still on that fire truck in the south end of town where there's no fire hydrants and it takes longer to acquire a water source.
Thank you.
So that's why,
Thank you, that's what I wanted to hear, okay.
that's the major reason of why the ladder would look to be, or the Quint would look to be in the north end of Tiverton, is the hot water source.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes.
GVW weight on a Quinn.
Roughly,
Any idea? Because I remember years back, New Bedford bought the Superbird, and every time they went out to a call, they crushed manhole covers because the truck was too heavy for the streets.
Yep. I know exactly the
So
exact
that's why
truck you're talking about.
I want to make sure that the Quinn is going to
Yep.
be able to do that in the north end, because
So the trucks we've been looking at are roughly 76,000 pounds. So I'm not an engineer or anything like that, but I would think that they'd be able to, a normal engine's about 48,000. So yes, the Quint is going to be,
yeah, because every time you cut a corner and you
Much.
go over a sidewalk with it, you're going to cave
right,
in.
right. So, yeah, so I'm looking at 78,000 pounds is what the weight GVWs is on the Quint that we've been, looking around at.
Deb?
So if we're in need of a pumper, why are we looking at one that has less capacity than the 1,000 gallons that we currently have? Is it because this Quint has a ladder also?
Yes, there's only so much they can put on the truck because they're trying to fit the tank, they're trying to fit a pump, and then everything that makes the ladder work. When we start looking at this process, Tiverton needs a new fire truck, 100%. We haven't had a ladder truck since the early 90s in this town. We've always relied on mutual aid. And we looked at this as an opportunity to say, let's get 2 trucks in one here. Like, buying a Quint will give us the availability of making it an engine, but also give us the capabilities of using it as a ladder truck. So, looking at 2 separate trucks, if you were to buy 2 separate trucks together right now, it would roughly be about $1.7 million to buy an engine and a ladder truck at the same time. I know that $900,000 was approved by the FTR in July, so I know that was the number, and we believe that we can.
But the way you explained it, you would move that apparatus to the north end,
Yes.
and then you would move another
Yes.
apparatus down south.
Yeah, so the apparatus that's in,
Which would give more water
Right.
available.
It would give us the water there, it would give us the ladder. So the
Yeah.
ladder is still important.
yes.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
The ladder's important in the entire town, but with the water source in the north end, it's more suited to be on the north end to be able to get a hydrant available. In the south end, we have to bring our own water.
Right.
Call in tankers, and it takes us quite a while to establish a water supply, so.
I'm thinking about all the naysayers who say, we don't need a ladder, we don't need the water, we don't need all this. But we've been calling in mutual aid for a ladder, and what happens if they're not available?
Right.
You know,
We don't get a
like
ladder.
the perfect storm,
We
don't get a
and
ladder.
we need it, and,
Unfortunate, someday it's gonna happen.
Right.
right, and yeah.
I
The
have
fi-
a
the
comment here, and just,
The
right
fire-
now,
sorry.
Use your microphone.
Oh, sorry. The pumper trucks have ladders on them, 24 feet long, that means about 20 feet usable. Thing wobbles all over the place. A firefighter's dressed out in 75, 80 pounds of turnout gear, Scott's air pack, and what if they got to evacuate a body out of a window or put out a chimney? A Quint is going to have a 100-foot ladder at about, 30-degree angle.
It can go anywhere from 80 degrees to negative
Okay,
15
but still, they
degrees.
could probably reach your average house roof from the street. And then they can, this thing's got a fire nozzle on it, can be directed from the ground. A firefighter can climb up the thing to ventilate the roof. It's a lot more stable, a lot more safe. And believe me, if one of these guys gets seriously hurt, it's going to cost you a hell of a lot more than the mere price of a Quint.
And we also don't want any of our firefighters to get hurt either.
So this is also a safety item for them.
I totally agree. I mean, we need to be proactive. We don't want to be after the fact, gee, we should have done this. You know, we need
is
the
one-
ladder, we need the pumper, and I think the plan is great to have the ladder at the north end where there's a lot of tenement buildings, and have more water down south where we have no hydrants. So,
Yep, long overdue.
Okay, any further question? All right, I'd like to entertain a motion to grant permission to advertise for fire truck as approved in the fiscal 2022 budget.
So moved.
Do you want to remind everybody what that is?
second.
We just talked about it.
The dollar number.
We talked about that too. It was 900.
It was a 10-year, 100,000.
Right.
Years,
It says as
Right.
approved.
As
Right, but it
approved.
Should cover whatever.
So it's 100,000 for 10 years. The total cost is somewhere between 900 and 1 million. Okay, motion.
I made the motion to second it.
Motion's been made by Councilor Perry, second by Councilor Janik. All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
Thank you.
Go find us a truck.
Thank you for taking this.
Give me a call when
over.
you're doing so I can help write the specs.
Town Administrator, discussion and possible vote on modification to original agreement with
Kearsarge.
Kearsarge Net Metering.
So, a couple of years ago, the town entered into agreement with Kearsarge to do net metering on a major project, I believe it was over in North Kingstown. Coventry? That project will actually come online in October, and we'll be receiving our first set of credits. I talked to them today because I was a little confused with this agreement myself, but the documents that are being approved tonight, the state law requires that the town, and every city and town is part of this agreement with Kearsarge, from my discussions with them today, and actually every school department, every school district is as well. Tiverton will own a 23% interest in this part of the project, and will be entitled, from what the raw numbers came out to, about $159,000 in credits will come, and then we have to pay Kearsarge back their 72%, so it's 28%. 72% we pay back, so then that would be about $45,000 credit to the town that we get just for signing on. State law requires these major projects to offer every community the ability to sign on to a net metering agreement. So we didn't pay anything for this. So this is net, the town will get about $45,000 from October 1st, or October, I won't say 1st because I don't know the exact date, moving forward every year. when they signed the original agreement, it did not have any ownership interest in it. And the state law does require that the communities have an ownership interest. So what the documents that are before us now entail is a lease agreement that the town actually has an ownership interest. And with this ownership agreement, we're indemnified for any legal issues related to this particular project. So it's a mechanism to give us ownership interest during the life of the project. It complies with state law, and it formalizes that we can actually get the credits by complying with the terms of the state law.
We're a subleasee of the owner, which is Kearsarge. So state law requires that, as Chris said, cities and towns have a ownership interest in the actual project. And when they were originally put together, there was kind of a quirk in the law. So there's been a ruling by the Public Utilities Commissions that you can satisfy that ownership interest by having a sublease with a real owner. So every city and town that's part of these net metering agreements now basically has a sublease with Kearsarge. So we're basically leasing the land that they're under, basically.
So that's
to get the credit.
That's what these documents actually do, is create the sublease agreement. And there is some modification to the original agreement about the percentages, but the net credit never changed. We're still entitled to 28% credit. So we will get exactly, and I tried to confirm that today. But I was also, when I sat there and I said, well, if I'm a council member, how did this all come about? What did we pay for it? We didn't pay a thing for it. So we just signed on like every other city and town did, and every other school district. And we're entitled to our percentage based on the agreement that we did at the time.
So you
And
both-
we guarantee our agreement, unlike some other cities and towns, by doing the net metering, we are never going to lose money on this. So we will never have to pay Kearsarge more than what we get in credits.
So you both looked it over, feel it's a
Yep.
worthwhile thing?
So does this
Good enough for me.
become revenue, or do we just get a reduction?
It's a reduction of our electric.
It's credit. Okay. And how long is this contract good for?
That's another good question.
When I read it,
I believe it's 10
it
years.
was like
I believe it's 10 years.
10 years.
All right, any further questions?
I like free money.
I'll make a motion to
Go ahead.
approve the, what is it? To approve the agreement with Kearsarge Net Metering for the 10 years
Modification?
modification. Yes.
Modification to the original agreement?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Vieira. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Town Administrator, request permission to advertise for bids regarding the landfill closure project and the recycling center project per Park Corporation update on July 26, 2021.
So they have not finished the bid specs, but as soon as they are, we'd like to get out the bid as quickly as possible. That's basically what we're asking for both the landfill closure and for the recycling project.
And we put this on for the same reason that we've put others on, because when they're ready, I don't want them to have to wait for a meeting for approval. So,
So you want that in the form of a motion?
yes, please.
Okay, I'll make a motion to
Grant permission.
grant, I'm trying to read the line.
I know.
Grant permission for the landfill closure project and the recycling center project per Par Corporation update on July 26, 2021.
I'll second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Cook. I'll give it to Donna now. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay.
I just want to say thank you.
Welcome, Rick. I didn't even
Hey, Rick.
see you back there. You're behind the video camera. I can't even see you. Did you want to add anything, Rick, or was that appropriate? That was,
No, that was excellent. Thank you, Chris, also.
okay.
Problem?
If I knew you were there, you were hiding. Councilor DiMaderas, planner Siciliano, request possible, discussion, possible vote on advertising public hearing for proposed Tiverton Court of Ordinance, zoning ordinance, Article 24, solar energy systems, and Chapter 74, taxation of renewable energy. Just to give, this solar ordinance was sent to us by the planning board quite a while ago, but because of COVID and everything that went on, it was kind of put on the back burner since. Jen and our attorney has looked it over, made some suggestions, and it's ready to go out for advertisement. Jen, do you want to?
Yeah, so I reviewed the solar ordinance that the planning board developed and made some changes and talked to the solicitor, and we came up with a good draft. It's a beginning. I'm definitely open to comments or making it better. The one thing, I don't think you need the Chapter 74 taxation for renewable energy systems. I think that was suggested by the planning board. It's just reiterating the state law, and I talked to David Roberts, and he just follows the state law. So I don't think it's a good idea to make it your ordinance, and then if the state law changes, then you'd have to change yours, so.
We put that in there
Yeah.
just in case we needed to, and we were going to discuss it with you. But at the time of planning the agenda, we weren't sure if we needed to put that there. So we were going to take your advice.
Okay. I don't know if you want a workshop on the draft solar ordinance, or if you wanted to go to public hearing first and find out comments.
I'd like to, if it's okay with you, I'd like to go through it so everyone gets an understanding. Jen and I can go
Okay.
through it, and then whether you decide to have another workshop on it or send it, for a public hearing, that's up to you. But I just want to make sure everyone understands it, so.
Okay.
But I don't, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have some notes I took that it's
Well, could
mentioned.
Mike go through it first, or do you want to?
Why don't I run through the ordinance, and then if you have, I might answer some of your questions, and then I'll be happy to
Okay.
answer.
Because it doesn't have what I want.
Okay, that's all right. So this is just a draft, but again, so the process is a zoning ordinance by the state law. Starts with, this actually started with the planning commission, I believe. They sent it to us. Because it started with the planning commission, we don't have to refer it back. But when we did get it, it was the date that you said we got it, that was referred to, then the council referred it to Jen and I to review it. We made changes or suggested changes to the planning board's recommendations. You do not have to take those changes, but it's up to you. But I just want to go through some of the general changes. So under the definition section, which is section 2, we define brownfield site, and so basically it's an impaired site, and then it's also a preference for places where there were mines, quarries, or gravel pits as identified by the town Tiverton land map. So again, that's kind of like, you want to put solar facilities on brownfield sites and/or mines, quarries, or gravel pits as defined. So it's kind of like the preference. Then there's a distinction between ground-mounted solar systems and roof-mounted. So ground-mounted could be large, medium, or small. The small ones are determined by the amount of kilowatts they put out. And roof-mounted, obviously, so those that are mounted on the roof. So large and medium solar arrays would go through the planning board process of a development plan review, where roof-mounted would have to get approval by the building official and whatnot, and the small ones would not. Correct, Jen?
Yes, that's perfect.
And then there's a special category of these are actually coming up more frequently. They call it solar canopies. If you have like, you know how like gas stations have pumps and they have the canopy over the pumps. Some gas stations are now putting, believe it or not, solar panels on those canopies to defray the cost of electricity.
And that would have to be approved by just the building inspector?
I believe so, yes.
It would be similar to a roof mounted.
Roof mounted, correct, yeah.
Okay.
So, solar land coverage, I think is an interesting topic that probably people are interested in, depending upon what residential zone you're in. The maximum solar land coverage for ground-mounted, again, these are ground-mounted solar energies, if it's an R30, R40, R60, or R80 zone is at 20%, so you could 20% of that land area can be used for solar. A maximum solar land coverage for a medium and large energy systems in a general commercial or a HC zone is 50%, Maximum solar land coverage for medium and large solar districts and industrial zones is 75%, and maximum solar land coverage for brownfield sites in any zoning district can be 80%. So that's the maximum amount of lot coverage you can have based upon what zone it's in. Roof-mounted solar and solar canopy energy systems, it kind of talks about what they are. Roof-mounted would be exempt from screening devices. It makes perfect sense. It's on the roof, you really can't screen it, right? And solar canopies for existing structures shall be reviewed by the building official. Small solar energy systems shall be located only on the side or rear lot of a yard. So if you have like a house and you want to put a small array, it can be on the roof, or it can be on your side or rear yard, but it can't be in the front.
There was a lot of discussion at the last one that we did about this, because a lot of people were talking about putting it in front, and there was a huge discussion during the public hearing on that. And that's when that was decided, was on the last ordinance that doesn't exist anymore. Go ahead.
Sorry, screening. So screening is basically how you block the view. So small energy systems, again, shall maintain a 20-foot vegetated buffer from all adjacent property owners. So if you have a small system in your backyard, you still have to put some vegetative buffer around it so that you can't be seen by your neighbors or whoever happens to be your neighbor.
Like, can it be a fence?
If it's solid fence, it can be, I think, right, Jen?
Vegetated buffer.
Oh, vegetative, I'm sorry, it
Yeah.
says vegetative,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So it could be.
Couldn't be a fence only, no, usually both.
You can have both.
But we can change that, it's up to,
Yeah.
Yeah, because, if you put an 8-foot fence up, you're gonna hide almost anything that's
Oh,
going
well,
out.
the entire yard, not just the solar panels.
No, just to screen the area where the solar
Okay.
panels are.
But if you use solid, it's gonna block
Why
the
would you
sun.
additionally want to
Yeah,
plant?
but why
gonna
would
make
you want to
shade.
put a fence there, though?
To
Because
screen.
wouldn't it, like the sun, when it would
I'm
shadow it?
I'm not a solar expert, but the fence height is 6 feet, it's not that high.
Okay.
The angle of the sun
He
is
said 8 foot.
Because you're still gonna have setbacks and you're still gonna have.
correct.
Yeah, an 8-foot fence might not work, but, okay, go ahead.
So if then you look at the section 6, which is medium and large solar energy systems, and this is where it says medium and large go through the planning board major land development review process. They've got to comply with the state building code, talks about minimum clearing of vegetation. So these are the larger projects. Talks about on-site drainage, has to comply with DEM and any type of around soil erosion sediment control systems.
No removal of topsoil.
Talks about the spacing between the solar panels, if it's a large project, you have to have a roadway within the perimeter of the fence, so you have access for fire trucks and rescue or whatever you might need. Talks about signage. This talks about fencing, so if you have a medium and a large solar system, it shall be enclosed by perimeter fencing designed to prevent unauthorized access, no less than 7 and no greater than 10 feet in height. So that's a large project.
But that's for security, that's not screening.
Correct. Then it talks about the large projects also would have a landscaping plan that you need to kind of shield it from abutters, or just shield it from whatever. And then, most importantly, you also have a decommissioning plan. In other words, after the useful lifespan of these projects, I think it's usually, they say they last between 20 and 30 years. You can either replace them, or you got to be able to have money in the bank so that the town can take them away when they get
This was a
failed.
big concern last time also, because they just abandoned them and leave them.
Right, and it's got to be by cash, it's got to be by cash bond, and the council actually would release the bond.
surety.
And yeah, surety.
So this is for like private people, put it on their roof?
No, this is for big projects.
This is for big ones, okay.
Medium and large, yeah, right.
Okay.
Not for roofs. Roofs, so what I just went through were the large and the medium projects, which have to go through planning board review.
It's just going to be commercial, somebody selling it, not
Okay, I didn't know if
not
that
an
was all.
individual.
I guess, Deb, in other towns, these companies have just walked away from it.
Yeah.
And then the town is stuck, having to have to dismantle it, and it's costly. So this was
Dispose
a
of it.
concern last time we talked about this.
But residential rooftop ones were mentioned in this.
But there's no decommissioning requirement for those.
No, because the property owner,
Right.
if they sell it to
Yeah,
them.
right.
Yeah.
If they want to remove it, they just remove it, right? So the decommissioning is for a large scale, like Cook Farm would be a large scale, right?
Right,
Cook
right.
Farm is a large scale, when if this was under this ordinance, there would be a amount of money deposited by the developer or a bond saying that after 30 years, if we don't live up to our obligations, then the town can take that bond money and then decommission the site. So it's an insurance policy, yeah.
I had a question about that. I don't have it in front of me because unfortunately I went to a dance recital, took it with me, and left it in the dance recital.
Okay, Fred Astaire.
I think it's good that we would define what that surety would be based on the current costs.
You do, generally.
But in 30 years, you're
Right.
not going to, if, let's just say you told them we need 300 grand in the bank, in 30 years is not going to cover it.
So how it's worked in the past, and we usually get a recommendation from our town engineer or from an expert. They estimate what the cost to decommission would be, and then we reduce it by the present value for today's money, and that's kind of how we decide it. The other ordinance, if I recall correctly, Jen, it was like a multiplier of the total cost of the
Yeah.
project, not to be 110%, which I think was,
Something like that.
didn't really work out well. So we wanted to be able to have a flexibility.
We talked about that last
Yeah.
time.
And again, that would be, the bond would be set by the planning board, but it can only be removed by the council. And then the most important, I think, from your perspective at least, is where these uses can be used. So if you look at the district use regulations, so we're adding to we're adding to the use table on the zoning code. So roof-mounted solar energy systems would be permitted in every residential zone.
Mike, do you have a page number on that, or article number?
It looks
Oh,
like
I'm sorry,
this.
I don't, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like the last three,
way in the back.
pages.
So go to the way back.
Okay.
I was
number, yeah.
fancy tonight, and I put in a binder, so I don't have the,
There you go, you're on the page.
I got it.
do you have it?
Okay.
So this is the district use regulation. So a roof-mounted solar array would be permitted in every zone. In the village commercial, it would be permitted by special use, VC, right? That's a village commercial, special use permit. And roof would not be permitted in an open space. So these are roof-mounted, okay?
Yep.
Then we go to smaller energy systems. Again, these are the small backyard ones, kind of. These would be permitted in every residential zone by special use permit granted by the zoning board in the village commercial and in the general commercial, the HC, I always forget what that is. Is that Harbor? Highway commercial, not permitted in the W zone, permitted in industrial zone, and not permitted in open space. Those are small, okay? Medium and large would be permitted in the residential zones of, again, but these are defined as, by how many arrays there are, so I don't know how many. You might have a large tract of farmland.
This would be like an acre, like the smallest would be like an acre.
Yeah, would be an acre, so a lot, acre or more. So they would be permitted, the larger scale ones would be permitted in the residential zones by special use permit. And by the way, these are just suggestions, these can be changed to ends, use, and not permitted or whatever. But this was consistent with what the planning board recommended as well. Not permitted in the village commercial, permitted by special use in the general commercial, HC highway commercial permitted as a matter of right. And when I say permitted, in other words, if you own the land, and you meet the requirements, you get it. You don't have to go to the zoning board. You just, you get it as a matter of right. You still would have to go through the planning board process for development review, but.
But not the zoning.
But not the zoning, right. And then the solar canopy, we made it for special use in every residential zone, including the village commercial, permitted as a matter of right in the general commercial and the highway commercial, special use permit in the W zone, and permitted as a matter of right in the industrial zone, sorry.
So I have a question. If you have a farm, let's say 50 acres, 100 acres, I don't know what the number is, and you have an existing home, barn, and you want to, get out of farming and put in solar, can you do multiple use? Can you live? So and I'm asking in relation to Wingover, where they
Yes.
said you couldn't have the residential property there with the solar farm. But I don't know why we would want to prevent somebody from living on their property.
And
and
be a
utilizing their
farm
land.
and- Yes.
So,
There's no prohibition on that.
There is no
Not
prohibition.
in this,
Okay.
Not
not
this.
in
Not
this
in this
ordinance.
But we can check that, I just want to make sure that's true, but I think that is true. It's not in this ordinance, but I got to figure out, I can't remember why that was not permitted in the other. I think our zoning code in another provision says you can't have more than one use in the
Right.
same lot. We'll have to check that
Right,
out.
so
Yeah.
we'd have to change.
We might have to change
We'd
another
have to
provision of
change
that.
that,
Yeah.
because you are right, I think that's what the reason was. Don't you remember that? Yeah. I think you are right. I think that was the reason.
So we'll double check that.
So we'd have to change.
We want to eliminate that restriction.
So what we'd have to do is change
There might be a
that
special
other-
use, you might have to get a special use to.
We might have to
no.
change another provision of the code. right?
We'll just have to change another provision of the code, and they wouldn't have to, we'd have to permit it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, whatever you wanted to do, yes,
Because
yes.
I do agree with you. People who have these huge farms should be able
Right.
to live on their property and still have solar.
Well, the state regs also mention that one of the reasons they need solar is to help keep the farm.
Absolutely.
Right. So then, I'm sorry. Article, sorry. Article 5, the district dimensional regulations. So this is another important feature. So I just told you where they're permitted and not permitted. So now, if they're permitted in those various zones, these are the setback requirements or the lot coverage requirements. So again, you need at least, in a small solar, you need at least a 300 square foot lot. A medium solar, you need at least 3 acres. Large solar, at least 3 acres. So if you don't meet that requirement, unless you get, you can't do it. So you've got to get those, I guess you could get a dimensional variance from the zoning board, right?
Sure.
But if you don't, as a matter of right, you have to have at least 3 acres for the large and medium scale. Yes, Chris?
Because I was going to ask that at some point, didn't we rezone like all our 40s to R60 or our 30s to R60? So their dimensional zones would be totally different. Even though they're R60 today, they would be non-conforming of some sort, correct?
We did that a while ago.
Right,
But they'd have to conform as of this.
Right, but they may not be able to conform based on this chart.
Well, most of the lot areas are the same as the lot area.
In the current zone.
In a current zone, right.
Yeah.
And for instance, like R30, the medium and the large, which we talked about, were like commercial, you at least have to have 3 acres.
Right.
Because you don't, in case you have like a very large piece of property.
Yeah, in not 30, you wouldn't have.
Yeah,
this
you
much
wouldn't
land.
have this much land,
In most
in case,
R30s.
yeah,
No, and most R30s don't have 3 acres of land.
Right.
In that
Well,
area.
what
Right.
does R30 mean? Like half an acre?
30,000.
What is
30 square feet.
30,000, yeah.
30,000
So it's a
square
little
feet,
under acre.
so-
How many square feet is an acre? I never remember that.
43,560.
What is
So
it?
that's,
43,500.
so that's what I'm saying, there's no 3
Right.
acres over there.
I lived on a 600-acre farm.
There you
Oh,
go.
there you go.
So again, the front yard, rear yard, these are the setbacks. So in other words, if you had a small solar energy in your backyard, you had to be 40 feet from your neighbors, right? So the rear setback, if you put it in your backyard, you have to be 40 feet from your neighbors. The start of that project has to be at least 40 feet.
That's not, I guess that's not gonna work in a lot of areas in North Tiverton.
No, it's not gonna be which is probably not a bad thing, because they have such a small.
Right, you don't wanna
I can't
put-
see these huge things there.
It's a policy decision, but I don't know if you want to put, I don't know what the average lot size is in North Tiverton, but I don't know if you really want people to have to put other than a roof, you want to put solar panels in their yard because they take up the yard space. But
There's no yard.
North Tiverton, 10,000.
They wouldn't meet the setback.
they probably wouldn't meet the setback.
Is that even, is it about a quarter of an acre?
No, 10,000 square feet.
That's all?
Average, yeah.
So anyway, these are the, so that if the North Tiverton is, the average lot is 10,000 square feet, you said?
More or less.
More or less. So then the small solar can only be in 12,000 square feet, so you probably wouldn't be able to put it in there anyway.
But that's all ground mounted. You would be free to do it
On the
on your
roof.
roof.
Right, you can put it on your roof.
Right.
These are ground
This
mounted,
is
right?
not,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you see them on the roofs in
All
North
over
Tiverton.
Tiverton.
Yeah.
It's probably more economical to put them on a roof instead of,
Put them on the ground,
Yeah.
like you're taking up.
It is
yard
until you have a
space.
roofing problem, then you can.
well, that's true, that's a joke. So, and then again, and most of these conform to the current setbacks requirements
Yep.
of, if you were to
Like
put a
a
shed up,
shed
like
or
a shed or
something
anything.
like
We didn't
that,
change
yeah.
anything different. We did make it a little, the bigger projects, we did, I think we also made that consistent with the setback requirements. So if you have a large solar system on the front yard, it would be 250 feet from the road, basically. So you couldn't start the project to 250 feet in, and then there would be screening around it as well.
This is a large project.
Yes, and a large. Large and medium would be 100 feet. So that's it in a nutshell. Jen really did a really great job kind of putting this all together with, I did help a little bit, but we looked at other ordinances of the other communities. And again, it does change, and I think Jen kind of outlined how she changed, did not accept all of the recommendations to the planning board. We wanted to keep it as simple as possible. We wanted to keep the permitting requirements within the town. Obviously, a large scale, we do want them to go larger, medium scale, we want to go through the planning board process, but we didn't want every single thing to go through the planning board like a small scale in your backyard or roof mounted or things like that. And there was a whole kind of application process that they had outlined. We took that out, and we're going to leave that up to the building official, zoning official, when they get to that point. So this, remember, this is zoning. This is what is allowed in a zone, and then once we get the zoning adoption, we can figure out how we're going to, someone's going to apply for it and actually do the building.
The fee structure.
The fee structure and all that stuff. We took that all out of the ordinance. As
Jen,
proposed.
thank you for making this simpler, because that's what we need. People are complaining that a lot of our procedures are so convoluted, they can't read it or understand what they're doing. Donna?
I have a few things. In fact, Jennifer actually put in a little piece here so that I can actually talk about it. It was reorganized, modified, historic properties were not included. This is page 3 of 3.
Where
This
are you?
draft is.
My memo.
In the memo?
Yeah. The starting point for discussion, so historic properties was something that needed to be addressed in here. So I had gotten in touch with Susan Anderson, and I also shared it with Jennifer, that all we really need to stay National Register Historic, what did she say we were? Oh, Preserve America Community with our historic buildings, was to just put a sentence in. And the sentence says, solar panels on historic buildings must not be visible from the road. That's as simple as that. Like you want them not looking.
In the back of the roof?
Somewhere where it's.
Would it have to be in the back of the roof, or they'd have to have a mounted one?
Yeah.
In the backyard?
Or in the backyard.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, to preserve the historic look,
Right.
otherwise you're gonna go, well, that didn't happen then, you know? So, I would really, appreciate that sentence being put in somewhere, so that, we maintain with our comprehensive plan and the look that we want in Tiverton, and preserve our historic buildings to look historic.
Yeah, so I'm sure Jen could figure out a place to put that.
Solar shingles on.
That's what I think.
Yeah, but
On
would
the
that,
house?
would that maintain the look?
Well, they make solar shingles now that you can't tell what they are unless you see the sign that says, "Don't walk on me."
Yeah, well, could we put that sentence somewhere?
We could, I would just say that we should make sure to notify the abutters of, or not the abutters, but the actual, any homes that relates to, when the zone
Yeah,
changes.
so that's a specific, that's a specific prohibition of people who own historic, it doesn't really go
Particular.
with the zone, it goes with the house, right?
Yeah, so it's a
it's
little-
really not zoning,
Talked about that, yeah.
but it can be put in, it's not saying that it can't, it's just, it's a little,
Now, if these
you're
buildings.
affecting their rights, so if you own, excuse me, if you own a historic home in an R40 zone, right, you right now have the ability, if this were to pass as is, you have the ability to put a roof mounted. However, if you own a historic home in an R40 zone, now you're saying, well, because you're a historic, even though you can put it in your zone, you can't have it unless you put it somewhere you can't be seen. That's a policy decision that the council wants to make, that's fine, or we can get through the public hearing on that.
Now, do these houses have to be they have to be registered?
Yeah,
Well, that's the
I
other
was
issue.
gonna
How do you
use the
determine what-
list that was in the comprehensive plan. Just, there's a
Would
list
be
of
that, right.
historic houses.
only be
that'll
those.
be
Be just those houses?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because
Do we
it's,
have a
So
lot
we
of
don't
them?
want to determine what's a historic, I mean, that's,
it would be,
right,
yeah,
that
that's what I'm
list.
saying.
Right.
I don't want somebody to say, well, that house has been there since
there
1900,
is
so
a
it's an
list.
historic home. Right, I
And
just want
does
to make
does that list change, though? Like,
No.
can things be added to it, or it's?
If you
it
were to
is-
change the whole comprehensive plan, which would involve public hearings, and it would be difficult to change, but it
So
could
the
be
list,
added.
the list we have now is the list that's going to stay?
And we got that from from Susan, actually, told us which houses they were. I remember that.
But I
and she
believe,
has-
because you did talk about this when we met with the building official, didn't he say something about the fact that, what did he say about this?
I mean, I don't want to speak
Yeah.
for him, but he told me that he's very interested in historic preservation, and he said that putting the solar panels on doesn't change the structure of the historic house, which is what they're very concerned with. So it was more like, it's okay to put solar on historic, according to the Secretary of Interior, which determines about housing preservation. So I can get more information from him, but he mentioned that to me.
They get concerned about things like siding and what the windows look like and all that, so I can't imagine you could just throw solar panels on the roof.
It doesn't change the structure, but it certainly changes the look and the ambiance of what you have.
Yeah.
But if I own this home, you are restricting me and my neighbor.
But I don't know if you're in the historic plan and the comprehensive.
Well, I bought it
plan
without
or not.
knowing I couldn't put solar panels on it, right? I bought it, well, what are you laughing, because I just said that?
No. I wasn't laughing at anything that was being said.
Okay, you two stop it.
That was not me, that was your neighbor.
Bill? So,
That's just something we can, I think that's something that will maybe come out at a public hearing. We can certainly prepare an amendment during the public hearing to discuss that.
Yes.
Right? So this is, we're not, we can do whatever you want, but that is,
well, we could put it in here, just to put as a public hearing. And then if people who own historic homes, please come and give us your opinion on.
I don't want to take away people's property rights.
Because in a way you are.
Yeah, but how do we preserve the look?
yeah, I mean, I think what Jen is saying, that under the national standards, that the National Historic whatever the group, the Department of Interior has made a determination, probably because they want to encourage solar panels, that just putting a solar panel on a roof does not, because it doesn't affect the structure, it doesn't take away the historic character of the home. That's, whether you agree with that or not, I'm just telling you what we're told what the federal government has said.
It can be discussed.
And let's be honest, if you buy one of these homes.
You're probably not going to put a solar.
You're probably not going to put a solar. You like what it looks like, you like the history behind it, so I think that people wouldn't do this anyway.
And so as far as if you want a historic home, Donna, in a R40 or R60 district, and you want to put a ground-mounted solar, you got to put it in the backyard anyway, or the side yard, so that wouldn't be seen from the street. Yeah. So I think that takes care of that issue.
And maybe that's what they would do,
Maybe.
to make their homes
Right.
still look historic.
I have just one or two more things on, it's funny the way this is done, because like number one, there's a couple of number one pages.
Yeah, well, the back
It
is
says,
the actual new ordinance.
number one, but it says file right here, and November 19th.
Yeah, that's the new one.
Land use.
That's the old
Oh, that's the old ordinance,
That's the old one.
ordinance.
This is,
The next page, Donna, begins
I don't think it's that.
So.
the new ordinance is in the back. Am I right?
Here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I gave
It's
it, I gave you
sideways. I
too
think
much.
it's the comp
Yeah,
Oh, it's
It's a
sideways.
bunch of
Yeah,
stuff.
It's the
new
comp plan,
ordinance is
I
the
believe.
back
Put
page.
together.
Yes, it is.
So Donna.
That's the
go to
comprehensive
back.
plan.
If you
Yeah.
go to the back and work your way forward, you'll see page one. It says file.
So she's on the comp plan, it's a sideways document.
Yeah.
It actually says
Well, it is.
comprehensive community plan proposed
I was at
amendments.
home.
Did I need an in-service?
Yeah, you
first?
do. I was at home and it took me a while.
This is the first page.
It's right here.
But she's trying to address something on the comp
This is
plan.
the new ordinance.
This is the new one?
No?
Oh, this is the old one.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, this is the new, okay, I just, yeah.
Okay, well, this is within this?
Yeah, that's the new one.
This is
It's
the
a lot
draft.
less complicated than the old one. It's right here.
I did want to ask about the cranberry bogs, because,
Oh, yes, I did.
I mean, we have them.
What about this
So,
home?
it's a problem in, in Massachusetts, the people are up in arms, because what are you gonna put around? You have the beautiful cranberry bogs, and then all of a sudden, there's this big structure over acres and acres of cranberry bogs, and you can't put a fence around it. That's even worse. Like, I don't even know how that's,
What zone would the cranberry bogs be?
Probably R80,
It'd be, yeah.
it'd be an R80.
it's off Crandall Road. There's at least, I don't know. I look and it looks like a big square.
Where
There's
is
like
it?
3 of them, huh?
Where is it off Glen?
Way off, off near where the cows are.
Just before you make the hill, come down the street.
There's like 10 cows all over
Where the
Brandon Road.
cows, I'm not real helpful because I don't know what the name.
So it's on the west side.
It's a little bit up from Wingover, it's.
Yeah,
it's
just up
the
from
hill.
Wingover. Between
But the way-
Wingover.
Oh, I didn't
Back.
even, so there's cranberry bogs in there.
It's right it's right where Rhododendron Drive is.
Yes.
It's right
Right
there.
across the street.
All
Your
right,
concern would be what?
where the cows are.
That you wouldn't want to
Where
put
the
solar
cows-
panels where the cranberry
Well,
bog.
I just know it's an issue in northeast, and they've got, it's the biggest cranberry company, I don't know, in the world.
Ocean
Ocean spray.
Ocean spray.
But they're gonna put up the solar panel structures, and people are up in arms.
Above the cranberry
Yeah.
bog?
I'm gonna separate, that's what you want to be
Don't they need
separate.
sunlight?
That's what I thought.
I'm just saying.
That's what I thought. I was like,
I'm just saying, I said, where are they gonna put them? My son says they're gonna be above it.
Oh, I don't know if,
I don't know, I mean, that would be, depend upon the, I mean, obviously, whatever the zone, if it's a big area, they
it's
would.
gonna be an
they would-
R80, right?
They would be.
Oh, it's definitely already.
It's gonna be an R80.
It's definitely
I
already.
would, yeah,
Yeah,
and I
down
would
there.
think cranberries, grow in wetlands, right?
do.
So
Yeah.
you wouldn't be, you wouldn't be able
put-
to
Yes, you can.
put anything,
Sure you
yeah.
can. Because it's a bog. They're gonna spin
Yeah, but why would you want it there?
sun, you get sun all day.
I don't know, there's supposed
So
to be
they'll,
water and
they
electricity.
can put the panels up so they,
All right, I get you,
it's not gonna affect the growth of the berries.
I get you.
Everybody gets electrocuted trying to get
So
a
what
cranberry.
should we put it there? I mean,
It's, again, it's hard because you're pointing out people.
you're pointing out people
People
again.
that,
Like, I didn't even know that cranberry bog.
I'll show you where the cranberry
So,
bogs
and
are.
I
That's been there for
Okay.
You would
years.
never be able to.
That's been there for years.
no.
Let's show the
Because it's down
cranberry.
It
and out.
started out as one, I think there's three now.
Yeah.
I've
it's
lived
been there for
here
years.
for like 55 years, and I
You don't-
never knew that there was a cranberry
Yes.
bog there. It's
huge.
way in, man.
Because you saw the
You can see it.
cows.
You can, I gotta go down there.
I've always done that because my daughter lives down there.
You would never be able to screen it though. There's no way you would be able to screen that.
No.
Because it sits down in a valley. You look at it from way up high. That's,
I'm just saying, we have cranberry bogs.
All right,
we
go
do.
ahead. Thank you, Donna, for pointing that out.
Anything else, Donna?
No, apparently no.
No cranberry juice.
It
for
was
you.
all,
Okay.
So, so that's it in a nutshell. It's up to you now to decide whether you're going to advertise this ordinance as is for a public hearing. At the public hearing, you can obviously take more comment, and based on that public hearing, make changes to it. Have another public hearing if it gets contentious. I know that there are a lot of, generally I get calls probably on a weekly basis for developers who are waiting for this ordinance to be passed. So.
And that's why I think we should go out for advertisement. Everyone, you just got this weekend, so just go home and look at it, and examine it more closely, and you might want to change it. But we can make amendments.
You can make amendments after the public hearing, yes. You have to have
Yes.
at least one public hearing on it.
Yes, and the public might have.
The public may say this is ridiculous, I don't like any of it, so.
I have to tell
So what do
you,
we
that-
need?
So do you want a motion to,
wait a minute. This is a much better ordinance than the original one. It's very simplified.
They want to have a
Thank you,
hearing, right?
Jen. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
The other one was
Yeah.
really a disaster. We found out afterwards. So thank you for this.
So with the
So-
processing of the application, the fees and all that also have to be done before it's final?
No, the fees can be set by a separate ordinance.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just the ordinance and then it's the fee structure.
But this is the
comes to
zoning
us.
part of it, right? The
Yes.
fee structure, and everything, that can be a
That
separate
comes
ordinance.
back
We
to
can
us.
we can just do that as a regular ordinance.
So when you said that all these developers are like.
Not all.
But
There's a couple.
are they looking like at things like that Brayton Road one is like 50-some acres? That's a huge, it's huge. There's like trees have
But
come down
that one was
and.
pre-approved.
Yes,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
sold.
sorry.
No, I get that, but I'm just saying,
There's
is that
another,
what
there's
a
a parcel
lot?
that we get a call on, I can't remember where it is, but the guy calls us, what's his name?
I think it's Peckham.
Yeah.
Buzz, what the guy Buzz?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
the-
feral.
Yeah, Furlong Link Farms.
yeah, Farrell Farms.
That's a huge piece of property.
He wants to
also.
do that to help with his farming
He does. He
too.
doesn't want to do the entire, he just wants a small area
Right.
that has raised panels.
But the people who are calling, they're more like this kind, not versus somebody who wants to put it in their yard.
Just be clear, the only call that I got, yes,
Yes.
the larger project, yes, I haven't
Yeah.
gotten. But we do need to regulate those people who want to put, you might have a 5-acre lot, and you might want to put a little solar panel in your backyard so you can help defray your cost of energy if you don't want to put it on your roof.
But you have to regulate
Right,
that.
and that has to regulate, because right now we have no regulation, and right now we're, We're not, and I will tell you that, having been a member of the legislature, within the last 5 years has passed a lot of incentives that make solar panels very lucrative for not only
For
big
people.
developers,
Right.
but for small developers as well. There's a big incentive to get
Right.
it out.
Yeah, using our tax.
More and more attractive, from a tax perspective, and as far as that utility companies are required to purchase the energy from you now.
Well, and for those of you, it's not part of this, but for those who do not know, if you put a solar array on your roof, you're going to get a federal incentive. And additionally, the town is not allowed to tax you for the increased value that those solar panels add to your house. So if you put a $40,000 array up there, your house does not increase by 40 grand, even though its saleability does.
All right, so we'll move on. I'd like to entertain a motion.
Town clerk has a question, I think.
Madam President, I just have a question. What about the form-based code?
Oh, I kind of know what you mean, where our the
Does
use
the-
table.
Where it says GC with the asterisk? Is that what the asterisk is for?
Yes.
Or,
Yes.
So we're going to have to amend that.
I'll look into that.
thank
What are
you.
you talking about, Joan? I'm sorry.
Form-based code?
Is it?
It will have to be amended.
So like
Remember?
pedestrian friendly, we
Right,
didn't,
right, okay, yes.
Traditional Main Street and then neighborhood business?
Yeah.
That was added
I forgot all
years
about
ago?
that. Yeah.
That's still not codified?
So again, this is not in set in stone. Once you
doing
get
it
the public
first.
hearing, once people have a chance to look at this, they may like, I know, like maybe putting solar panels in the village commercial zone may be controversial, but it's up to you to decide whether or not you're going to allow it or not. But right now, they would be permitted by smaller solar by special use permit. Under the proposed ordinance from the planning board, they weren't permitted at all. So that's Tiverton Four Corners, I guess, right?
Yeah, but I do think that some of those houses may.
It may.
May, so. All right, so I'd like to entertain a motion to go out for advertising a public hearing for proposed Tiverton Code of Ordinance zoning ordinance article 26 solar energy systems.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Joan, this has to be advertised for how many?
3.
21 days.
21 days, okay.
So the date for this to be on a council public hearing would be September 20, September 13th.
Okay. Some of these, we're going out for a couple of these public hearings. We're not going to be able to do them all on September 13th. So, we'll decide as we go along. Because we'll be here till 1 o'clock in the morning. All right, so motion's been made in second. All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
Thank you.
Solicitor Marcelo, discussion and possible vote on advertising public hearing for proposed new Tiverton Code of Ordinance regarding short-term rentals. We did put this on here, but we cannot go out for public hearing because the planning board has to
Correct, so-
look at what's been written.
So this
Go ahead, Mike.
sorry, this was my error. I forget that because we're amending the zoning code, and this is starting at the town council level, we actually have to decide what we want it to say, send it to the planning board for their input, and have to send it back for an advisory opinion with us. So I forgot that by regulating these short-term rentals, we're actually amending the zoning code. There was a talk about whether or not we were going to do it by licensing, or whether we were going to do it by zoning. And the consensus at the council at the time was we're going to do it by zoning. So this is an amendment to the zoning code, and just as we indicated, it has to go back, this will go to the planning board once we determine what the ordinance was, once we get a final version of it. So I know this has generated a little bit of controversy, and this may not be in its final form, so I'll be happy to go through it, and I'll be happy to take input now, and then I know there was a subcommittee that was created, and the subcommittee wants to meet and go forward. And
Was there a subcommittee?
I don't remember, that's what Donna seemed to suggest.
There wasn't an official subcommittee created.
No, I think we gave it to
asked, Mike and, I don't know why, but.
Nicole.
Me, Mike, and Jay.
But it wasn't really a subcommittee, like it wasn't.
Well, we were.
No, I think we were supposed to give like input and suggestions.
And which is still, like.
So would Donna and Jay like to,
Well, how about I go through it, and then you guys can talk about it if you want to know? It's up to you.
it's just,
Okay. You want to go through it now, or we can go through it later? It's up to you. I'll give you the highlights.
Yeah,
Do
give
we
us
have
that.
time?
What?
I mean, yeah, all right.
We do have a lot to do, that's why I didn't know if the subcommittee wanted to get together and give suggestions.
We can do that by email.
Like,
right?
I have a lot of, no, you can't do it by email. I have a few concerns with this, so.
How about this? How about I ask you guys to take a look at it, write your concerns down, send them to Jen and I, and we'll kind of take all the concerns, revisit it, and then come back to the council, maybe for a workshop session on it?
I think we should have a workshop on this, to tell you the truth. Because it's, I'm looking at this, and I could see that this is gonna be a nightmare because of what is existing right now. So,
Well,
that's what I'm worried about. And people have called me, but what's existing right now is illegal.
Correct.
You can't do it. So that's why we're doing this, so that these owners can do it. But we're putting restrictions on it, and there's gonna be some controversy with this. So I think we should have a workshop and invite people who are doing it now to come and talk to us about this, because one of them in particular is they have to live in the property for a specific amount of time, and a lot of these people do not live in these properties, or even visit these properties. So,
And good for abutters, too,
right.
for them.
So I think what we should do is, do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, I
to
think it's a good idea.
table
So
it?
I think if everyone takes a look at it, if you have any questions, you can email me. I'll be happy to answer any questions. And then I think you should have a workshop. This is controversial. There's no question
I
about
think
no.
we should have just
Yeah.
a special night just for
Yeah.
this, so people can come and talk to us. And no one's here right now, so we're gonna have to advertise.
Yeah, that's fine.
Not even a public hearing, that's not what I'm talking
Right.
about. It's more people who are going to see the public hearing, and then we're gonna get all
Yeah,
the
I think it's worthy of a
complaints.
workshop, frankly.
Yeah.
I
So
can tell you-
we'll do a workshop sometime in September, is that okay with all of you?
Yep, not the 13th.
Right now,
Not the 13th.
Newport is in the
No,
middle of
it's gonna be a special
Seven.
meeting.
Newport's in the middle of a big deal reviewing theirs. Middletown started to, and then they fired them all. I don't know what that was about.
It's just a very controversial subject.
There you've got problems in New Hampshire. I was up there, and the big things that
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
they're
Okay.
not gonna stop it.
also
So-
gonna
They're
be
trying to, it's like
administrative
hurting
thing, too.
cats, I think.
Oh, I know. So I'm going to entertain a motion to table this for further discussion and to set up a workshop, which I'll look at our schedule and we'll do a separate meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made in second, and I'll get back to Joan and I'll have her email you some dates.
In the interim, if people could get back to me
Yes,
with
please.
questions or concerns.
And I'll email
Yeah.
you a couple of things. Okay, all those in favor of tabling? Thank you. Now, this is Councilor Burke's, but this is a discussion and possible vote on advertising public hearing for proposed amendment to Tiverton Code of Ordinance, Chapter 78, Traffic and Vehicles, Section 7831, trucks exceeding 4 tons and overall weight prohibited from using certain streets regarding Hoop Street. And I think there was just a small little change.
It was a technical change, but it wasn't a technical, it was a substantive change, but it had to do with the street name, so we think, out of abundance of caution, we're gonna re-advertise to change that street name.
You took the east out of Hoover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The town clerk caught that.
So, could I have a motion to go out for public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made in second, all those in favor? And Joe, we can make this one September 13th, because this is probably not gonna
Should be
be,
fairly quick.
yeah. I'm just worried that we're gonna have 2 big ones.
No, I mean, you won't get, you get actually a lot of people who are happy that it's being done, that won't show up at all.
Town clerk, discussion, possible vote on advertising public.
Yep.
Oh, all those in favor, I'm really sorry. I think around 9 o'clock I get exhausted.
No, we did, we voted.
We did vote.
We did vote.
We did vote.
Yeah, we did.
We voted to vote.
Okay, I trust Joan, she's
Okay.
with it right
There we
now.
go.
She's taking notes.
Yeah, town clerk, discussion and possible vote on advertising public hearing for proposed amendment to Tiverton Code of Ordinance, Chapter 7, Tobacco, Section 7 license application, fee required regarding license expiration. Joan?
Yes, Section 7-4, license application. The sentence is, licenses shall expire in the month of February of each year. We want to change that to licenses shall expire on November 30th to be in line with our current practice. This was changed back in 2008, but the ordinance was not amended to reflect that change. So we are renewing these licenses November 30th, and the ordinance says February. So it's just a minor clerical fix.
Okay, so do I have a motion to go out for advertising for this, I'm not going to read the whole thing for this, as I said.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Vieira. All those in favor? Town clerk, discussion and possible vote on advertising public hearing for proposed amendment to Tiverton Code of Ordinance, Chapter 38, Environment, Section 38, 122, Sound Variance regarding land evidence recording. Joe?
So this is Chapter 38, it's the Section 38-122 sound variances. When I read this section, I was just amazed that it said we needed to record all the sound variances in land recording records, which for every event, special event that has a sound variance, the clerk's office has not been recording these in the land evidence records. I think it was meant to mean sound variances that are a permanent or a long-term nature, rather than the 1 or 2 day special event activities. So I just want to make the ordinance correct that we are only recording it in land evidence when it is, the application is requesting a sound variance that is permanent or long-term in nature, and not one of these special event permits.
Okay. Any questions?
It seems incredible we'd have to do it for every little one.
Well, we haven't.
We haven't been.
Or should have been.
And I just happened to find it when I was doing a land evidence search, and it
Which
came
you
up, and I'm like,
mentioned
what is this? We're not doing this.
No, why
So
would we?
I'd rather make the ordinance consistent with our current practice.
Okay, so I'd like to entertain a motion to go out for public hearing.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilor Edwards, second by Councilor Perry. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay. And all of these can be September 13th. They're really quick ones, you know.
Maybe that's all we'll do on September 3rd.
Yeah. Town Administrator, Police Chief Jones, discussion and possible vote on advertising public hearing for proposed amendment to Tiverton Code of Ordinance, Chapter 78, Traffic and Vehicles, Section 7871, parking prohibited at all times on certain streets regarding parts of Hooper and Canopies. Chris, I know the chief's not here.
No, the chief was a little ill tonight, so he couldn't make it, but he did modify the ordinances, you'll see the proposed changes, and it does accommodate the needs in the particular neighborhood.
The two areas we
And it does accommodate the need of the individual who actually did request it. And it limits it to, I think it was 500 feet, I think it was, not, or 250. To just the ends of those streets.
Yes.
From Bay Street to Bottom, to the intersection of Bottom Street.
So, and it will help with the littering issue and all the rest of it that they have down there.
Any questions from the council?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Donna.
Where's that letter? My God.
It's okay, take your time. It's still not 9 o'clock, would you agree?
Yeah, we'll get plenty of time. It's not midnight yet.
Where's her
Oh, you do have a
explanation?
So Hooper Street was never.
Whoever wins
Okay,
buys
here
me
it
a
is, I'm
cup of
sorry.
coffee.
Back.
Hooper and Canopies were never on the system.
So it looks like she's complaining because people are wanting to fish. I guess when it comes to fishing, I was just wondering down there, because I don't, is there a right of way to fish down there?
No.
Is there a right of way to the water?
Nope.
Not that I'm aware of.
Those are all-
Private property.
It's all private property.
That's
We've
what her
dealt
com-
with this before.
That's what her complaint,
That's
her
what their
complaint was that it
complaint
was private property.
This comes up every once in a while, right, Joan? It came up while Joan was on the council with
I
me,
guess the
actually.
other complaint is that they're using fireworks as, well, I just to say is a general explanation that,
Well, I think if they can't park there, that's what the hope is. If they can't park there, then they can't do some of the stuff they're complaining about.
yeah, but also the fireworks is basically a nuisance, no matter who's doing it.
Or where you are.
Yeah, or where you are, because why, I just have this question is that when it happened, I just don't understand with all the things that need to be done, that the fireworks had to be made in Rhode Island to be legal, which set up, North Tiverton to be the capital of fireworks. That and I won't even say what else they're capital of, but it just it doesn't bring anything to the table to make it nicer. You've got people setting them up. It's not even July, right? I hear them every night. And how do you send someone? The dogs are afraid. It's waking up children. You're sitting there quiet, and someone sets off this whatever it's called, like a bomb or a cannon or something like that, and it's just a nuisance, and it's not peaceful, and people are trying to sleep. The dogs are frightened all the time, and you don't know who's going to do it. You can't call the police because who's doing it? You don't know who's doing it.
Well, it's not, I think you're off subject, yeah. Sooner or later, my
She's complaining because that's what's happening in that neighborhood.
Right, that's what's happening in that neighborhood. Yeah, I know. I gotta tell you, up my side, it's also occurring because it's
Yeah.
all on the pond. Like, all the pond, like, you should see what goes on.
Like, what was the thinking behind that? It was just,
Yeah.
I was not happy when I found out.
But the fireworks are all over town.
It's
not
just a mess.
It's not just the North End, it's everywhere.
I know, but it's just one of the things she's complaining about, which we're all complaining about.
But now that they can't park in that area, they can't go down there, set them off, and run to their car and get out of there.
Right, that's what I'm
They're
saying.
gonna have to, run 500 feet up the road.
Well,
So hopefully we catch them, but that's,
I don't know, how come we can't catch anybody else?
Okay, so so I need a motion to advertise this public hearing.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made in second. Joan, I think we should do this one a little separate, like
Yeah.
maybe September 27th would be our next meeting, right? If the 13th, 14
Official
days
that'll be
later.
here for this.
Okay, so we'll make that one September 27th, because I'm going to tell you, I think we'll get people here at this one. Because we did last time we discussed this. Motion's been made in second. All those in favor? Unanimous. This was a hot topic when we tried to propose this last time. Because there's many reasons.
Yeah.
Town administrator requests permission to advertise for fees and filing resolution regarding planning board fee schedule and consultant engineer escrow schedule for FY 21-22. Chris?
so as soon as Jennifer, Mike, and I finished writing the policy that we kind of agreed to at that meeting, we'll get it to you, and we'll get out to bid this quick.
So we'll table this for now until you bring that
Yep.
back to us? Okay. There was a meeting with the liaisons, and Susan and the planner and myself was there, and went over some concerns we had with Susan with fees, and so they're all working on it to rehab this a little bit. So we will table this.
Okay.
But, yep, so I need a motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made in second. All those in favor? Unanimous. Town clerk, boy, Joan, you put a lot on here today. Request permission to advertise request for proposal RFP for possible subsequent award regarding a town clerk records management.
So moved.
Go ahead, Joan. Boy.
That was quick. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Yes, this is, recently you approved a one-year extension, and basically that was to let us explore options. What other companies are out there that provide this service, what functionalities they have, what infrastructure support, hardware, software, and maintenance support they offer. So we'd like to go out for an RFP specifications. I have them 90% complete. I need to review them with the town administrator, as he is the purchasing agent for the town. And once that's done, I have to advertise, basically go out to bid for this RFP.
So moved again.
Thank you,
You
Joe.
didn't even have to
So
explain
seconded.
it. You seconded. So motion's been made and by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Edwards. All those in favor? Town Administrator, discussion and possible vote on potential plans for September 11th, 2021.
So, I'll try to be quick and, with this. This is the 20th year anniversary of 9/11. But it was a quick 20 years, sadly, but it's, I think as a community, we should probably try to do something. I have a suggestion, but I'm open to any kind of suggestions. I'd like to maybe buy a bench and put it behind the memorial that sits out here now. Is a nice, a lot of people sit up here, believe it or not. I've come out of here at 6 o'clock at night, people sit at that little picnic table that we have out here, and it's a beautiful vista, but it would be nice to have something in remembrance of those who perished in 9/11 on behalf of the community, just that, that we have recognized people. I tried to do some research to find out if there are any particular individuals that are related to this town that perished. The closest I could find, Chief Jones gave me some verbiage that came, and I can't even tell you where it came from, that I think maybe somebody's grandchild may have perished.
But we don't know.
But I haven't been able to validate it, but I would like to at least recognize, all those who perished. But unless somebody knows of anybody else, that I have not been able to find in research, I would, I think that it's important for the town to recognize this. I know 9/11 is on a Saturday this year. I would highly recommend that we all take a moment of silence at that time. But, we should put together some little program of dedicating a bench or some other venue. And it doesn't have to be here. It could be down at the Doughboy, or it could be, a number of different places. But I do think it's important to, as a community, to
Recognize it,
to
yes.
recognize this.
Could we put something on the town website asking anybody who had a relative
We could.
perished there to let us know in a reasonable length of time?
Yep. I do know Barbara Pelletier also had wanted to do something about her remembrance. She has a very large, it's extremely large flag that she wanted to fly on one of our flagpoles for 9/11.
I think that'd be
Which I'm open to anybody's suggestion of trying to do something for this remembrance.
Who perished either in the town or locally? I think a flight attendant from American Airlines went down. She was in Westport. I was a flight attendant at the time. It was my day off.
Thank God.
I didn't know what happened. There was crews scattered everywhere with no way to get home. And they were just left that way. They were left for days that way. They had to find their own money to get home.
So what do you think about the bench being put over here?
I think it's an excellent idea, yeah.
And I think maybe on that Saturday, we should dedicate the bench and raise the flag that Barbara made.
Maybe have like a moment of silence. I think it was 8:46 a.m.
I was going to say
first.
that, 8:46.
So we
9
should all
o'clock,
meet,
yeah.
and then maybe we can reach out to Catherine at the library. Maybe they can have some kind of documentary or something in the morning, or some kind of timeline. She can get her hands on some kind of documentary or movie in regards to.
Meet here at 8:30 and then do the thing at 8:45.
Have a moment of
whatever
silence,
time it was.
and then,
Okay, we'll work on something.
Yeah, find out the cost, and we could take it for the council contingency, if it's
Okay.
okay with everybody.
So what Patrick sent me was some verbiage that says, the scriptures tell us that we're all children of light, said Mayor Martin Walsh. We do not belong to the darkness. That is what we are here to remember today. With this community of survivors as our beacon, we remember those precious lives that we lost 17. So this was a recent 17 years ago. We're here to remember the light they brought us. He was my older brother. He was my mentor, said Laurel Gay, 62 of Tiverton, Rhode Island, who lost her brother, Peter Gay, on American Airlines Flight 11. So I don't think he lived here, but I think
He was from Taunton.
right. So that's the only one I've been able to try to connect.
Yeah.
And Chief Jones actually did most of the work to find that.
I think the iconic, I guess, call out was, "Let's roll," and I would like that on the bench. That was a very important call. That saved the White House.
So I'll get some pricing on it, and I'll try to find something more appropriate that would work out, that'll actually, comport with the weather and everything else we have around here. And
So we won't
see,
We won't have another meeting before
No,
this, so
no.
we need to have a vote tonight.
Yep.
To instruct the town administrator to go forward with the celebration.
So moved.
Suggestions.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Joan will just send out any information we have through email to everybody. What's the matter? You're looking at me funny.
No, I'm saying, we're gonna get it done, so let's just do it.
Yeah, motion's been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
He's looking at adjournment.
Yeah, I know. And the only other thing, there isn't any place for announcement, but Thursday at the library at 7 o'clock, Chris, what's going on?
Michelle Gore is having a symposium on aquaculture. It's, I don't believe it's generic in nature as far as, it's not like pro one side or pro the other. It's kind of like an educational symposium on all of aquaculture.
I
So,
gotta get a ticket online.
I did?
I don't know what that was.
No, there's no ticket.
no, I don't think there's any tickets.
I think it was part of the.
It's Thursday.
Yeah.
It's Thursday at our library.
But
You have to
Don
sign
is
up
saying
for
that
it?
it's 7, it's not.
It's 6 o'clock.
Right, I believe it's at 6, yeah.
6 o'clock.
I'll get more information, I'll send the invite out to everybody that, to make sure that that's the correct time.
For some reason,
I have
talked
it
to
at
Michelle
6
and I
o'clock.
thought she
It's-
said 7, but that's.
No, it's 6 o'clock. I have it on my calendar, but I didn't know we had to,
Motion to adjourn.
so we have to.
Okay,
I went,
you guys all have a bad year, right? Like, we're gonna finish at a certain time, no?
No,
They do.
I don't care if I hit it till midnight.
Motion's been made by Council Perry to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Council Vieira. All those in favor? Good night, everybody. Thank you.